Holly with Stella Mari's Quilts. Welcome to our series on 50 blocks for 50 states, following along with the designs from this book. Check out the description box below for more information about that, as well as the link to the pattern we've written with step-by-step instructions for the block we're doing today, which is the block for North Dakota. So go ahead and grab your cup of tea and let's get started. For the North Dakota block, we're going to need 16 3 3/4 inch squares, 16 2-inch squares of our medium, and 32 2 by 3 3/4 inch rectangles out of our light. To start, we're going to take our dark square here and we're going to do some markings on the back. We're going to mark 1.5 inches from one corner. So I have my ruler lined up so that I have 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, and I can just put a mark here and a mark here, just making sure that you use whatever marking tool works and you can see on the back of your fabric. And then in the diagonal corner from that, we're going to mark 1/4 inch. Okay, I've already done that to all of the other of my squares. Next, we're going to divide our lights into 2 stacks, 16 in each, and we're going to draw a line on the back of them. One of them, the line is going to go from 1/4 inch in from the corner of the right side down to the corner of the bottom, and the other stack, we're going to measure 1/4 inch in from the left and do a diagonal line down to the bottom. I hope you can see that. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Okay. Hopefully you can see those lines, how they're going in opposite directions. And that's because we're going to need a right side and a left side for what we're going to do next. So next, we're going to take one of each and we're going to add them to our dark. So it's hard to see my markings, but here's my 1/4 inch markings over here. And then over on this side, I've got my 1.5 inch markings. I'm going to take my piece here, and with right sides together, I'm going to go from the 1.5 inch line on the bottom to the 1/4 inch line up here. I'm going to get it nice and lined up, and I'm going to sew on the drawn line. The goal is that when you fold it back on the drawn line, this piece will fit perfectly along that side and corner of the dark. After I do that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece, going from the 1.5 inch mark here to the 1/4 inch mark over here. And again, when I press it back, it'll be nice and straight. Now that I've sewn on one side, I went ahead and pressed it back. I'm going to go ahead and trim off the extra fabric here. And then we're going to add the second side. And when you trim off, you're going to lose one of your 1/4 inch markings, or it should be like right there. You might lose it depending on your marking. But the main thing is if you get this corner in line with the 1.5 inch mark, and then just make sure you rotate until that marking hits the edge, you're going to be just fine. So we'll go ahead and sew down on the line on this. We'll press it back and we'll get a piece that looks like this. And then we'll go ahead and trim off the extra fabric here. And now we're going to square this. I found it a little difficult to see on my mat, the contrast of the blue against my mat. So I went ahead and just put a piece of paper underneath. Not that I would cut it, but just where I can actually kind of see more what I'm doing. We're going to square this to 3.5 inches. I'm using a 4.5 inch square here. This is a 1/2 inch right here. So I'm making sure I've got 3. I'm checking that my line is nice and straight with the point here, and that my 45-degree angle is going straight through the point up at the top. And then we'll just go ahead and trim. And now we're going to snowball this last corner over here. I'm going to take my 2-inch medium colored fabric. I've drawn a line from corner to corner across the back. Now you could use 1/4 inch seam tape on your machine. You could fold this in half and press it, whatever method works for you to get a mark to follow. And I'm going to just stick this in the corner, and we'll sew from corner to corner on that drawn line. Now that that's done, I went ahead and pressed it back, and we've got some extra fabric back here again. You can use your scissors or you can use your ruler, whatever works best for you. It's not a lot to trim. We're just going to trim that off and press that back. And then we're going to arrange our first unit. Let's put all of the mediums to the center just like that. And then we'll sew this together like a 4-patch. I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 sides together, sew it down, put these 2 together, sew it down, and then when you open it up, you'll go ahead and put the whole thing together and sew across. And then you'll get a unit that looks like this. Now that we have 4 of our little star units, we're just going to sew them together just like this as a 4-patch. I'll sew this over this way and just sew down here, and then sew this one, and then sew both rows together. And here's the finished North Dakota block. Thank you for joining me today working on the North Dakota block. This was a great no Y seam option for this particular block. I hope you enjoyed it and you continue journeying through all 50 states with us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out when new videos are released from the series. Until next time, cheers and happy quilting.